So welcome to episode number 2 in this series. And we're looking at self-care for the carer. And I have with me my guest, Elsa, who's going to be speaking with me today. So just a very brief intro of me again. I did a fuller intro of me in episode 1, but if you're sort of jumping ahead and you were seeing this episode, I'm Santu Eve Carter, and I'm an advanced grief specialist. And I support people, individuals, and families with loss of any kind across the life stages. So today we're going to be talking, as I said, with Elsa about self-care. She is a carer for her mother, and that there can be a lot of loss, different types of loss with that and in that role. And so, and loss or disconnection, which is a form of loss to herself, is certainly an issue. And she will have a changing relationship or a changed relationship with her mother that is a kind of loss, because the roles have been reversed now, where she's almost like the mother of her mother, and the mother is now the child. The roles have reversed. So there's a loss of relationship status or structure within her family around that as well. So I'm going to invite Elsa to say a few words, just give us a little bit of the context, and then to start with talking about some of her feelings, perhaps of loss that she may have experienced. Sometimes people experience feelings of frustration or, there's a whole range of feelings that people can have, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, so I'm going to let her speak her truth and her experience of being a carer. So Elsa, welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. My name's Elsa, and I'm here in the United States. In case I don't know how far this is going.
It's international.
Okay, good. And I've been taking care of my mother for about 5 years or so, 6 years or so. And my mother's 90 years old, and I'm the youngest in the family, and I'm 49. And I'm not married. I don't have any children, and I have 2 living sisters with me. And the role of the caregiver for me it's been challenging and a blessing as well. But the challenges that I've been experiencing, especially lately, have been the feelings of burnout and feelings of guilt and sadness. And it's just been a lot having to deal with trying to balance my life, because as I said, I'm the youngest in the family, and I'm still in the process of moving my life forward with things. And my sisters are pretty much established in their lives and in their careers. And it's just a challenge trying to get, yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And in their own homes, right? So they're not living with you?
Correct.
And your mother?
Yes, I'm living with my mother now, and my 2 sisters live, they don't live far away. There's in state, but the farthest lives about an hour away, and the closer sister lives about 20 minutes away. And she has her daughter, and my sister just recently got married, but she doesn't have any children. But so I think this has just been something I've been trying to take care of, self-care, and also taking care of my mother at the same time, and also trying to have communication with my sisters about how to take care of this and move forward, and communicate with my mother about her feelings as well. So
yeah, so you're doing a lot of processing, not only for yourself but for your mother, helping her to process her feelings, and you're kind of like the middle person who communicates across the family, right? So it's almost like you've got three different roles, really. Yeah, go on.
Yes.
Yeah, were you going to say something else?
Well, I guess in terms of how I take care of it is I feel like because I'm with her as well, I'm having to communicate my mother's feelings as well to my other sisters.
Hmm.
And in fact, this morning was something I want to talk to my sisters about, because if I can share, this morning, well, let me just preface it by saying um, this was something that I was doing in addition to like trying to uh, take care of my issues of burnout. I was trying to express to my mother if she could just take some time out with my sister, like go over my sister's house for the weekend. And
Mm,
this was a lot for me to have to communicate, because already I'm someone who's always saying yes to everything.
mm,
It's hard for me to say no to a lot. That's like another thing that I'm trying to practice. Um, but realizing that I have to take time for myself, because I was
yeah.
realizing I really needed time. Um, and so when I was asking my mom about it, she's just saying, "Well, your oldest sister, she's working so hard. She's so tired, and she's not feeling well. So, um, I really don't feel like bothering her." And I said, "Well, what about Norm, what about my other sister?" And oh, she's working so much, and she's driving around so much for her job, and I just had to say, okay, hold on a second. I work also. I just wanted to add too. I work part time in addition to taking care of
Mm,
my mother. But
mm,
I told her, well, I do work also, and I do get tired as well. So, you have other daughters, and you need to spend time with them, and your granddaughter as well. I mean, when's the last time that you've seen them? So after I expressed that to her yesterday, I was feeling good to myself, like, okay, I was setting some boundaries, I was expressing myself, I was taking care of myself. So I felt pretty good that I was able to express that to her. So this morning when I woke up, I saw that my mom she was crying. And so I went into her room and I said, Mom, what's happening? Why are you crying and everything?" And she was saying, "Well, I'm just so I just feel like um, I would really want to help you with things, but I wish I could help more. I wish I could go and help you clean the house and put things away, but I just feel like I'm a burden. I really feel sad because I just feel like I'm a burden to you. I know that you have your life, and you want to go and do things, and so this is our communication this morning. And I just had to console her, just to say that you're not a burden to me, but there are just some times that I need to have my time, and my sisters have to
yeah.
have their time. So that was just an experience this morning.
Great. Well, I'm really glad you brought that up, because that is a theme or a topic that I think all families that has more than one person caring for, when there's siblings in the family, that does need to be addressed. And every carer needs respite. They need to be able to either step away from their home and go somewhere like a retreat center or a hotel or somewhere else where they can have some respite, some rest away from home, or someone else comes into the no, so that's you going away, or someone takes her out of the home to their house and you stay in your house and you have some rest there. But the ideal is if you were able to go away and someone comes into the home um, to look after her, so that your mother has the familiar surroundings, all the medication around her, that kind of thing. And her resistance to saying, "Oh, your sisters are working really hard," without really acknowledging that you're working hard as well, could be about her not wanting to go into an unfamiliar environment, or to her sister's environment. So just be aware that that could be what's undergirding her saying, "Oh," and discounting you, saying, "Oh, I need some rest." And so um you really do need to have, I think, a conversation with your sisters and create a kind of rota, if you can, and negotiate with your sisters what are they able to do. So ask them, how much time can you give to looking after my mom, or our mom, I mean, so that I can have some time away so I can recharge. And there are psychological studies that have shown that people need a consecutive 48-hour period, so that's 2 days consecutively, in order to recharge. So part of the resting process is not just to stop doing what you're doing. That's just stopping. That's not resting. So the process is that you spend some time decompressing. After you stop doing what you're doing, you decompress, you relax your body, you do what you need to do to decompress. And then there's like a bit of that fallow period where you're just kind of still and resting. And then you have the regenerative period where you're starting to recharge your energy. You're trying to energize yourself to go back into the demands of what you need to do. And that period usually takes a cycle of 48 hours consecutively. So ideally, you want to be negotiating with your sisters to have 2 days off where they can care for your mom for, over 2 days, if possible. And that could be one sister for one day and another sister on another day, if they can come into your current home to help with that. How does that sound to you? Do you think that is feasible to at least
I
open that conversation with your sisters?
I think so. It's I think the idea of maybe taking one sister one day and then another sister another day, that would be something that would work. I don't know if one of my sisters would be able to come and stay here. She just has too much of her own work at her
Mm,
house that she takes care of. But one of my
mhm,
sisters who has been coming to help my mom with like bathing and combing her hair and washing her hair, she's
mm,
she's actually been coming to do that because I've asked her to help me with that. So she, I know she would be able to come over and stay over at least. So I'll figure out how I can make it 48 hours. So, but that does sound good though. I really feel like I would benefit from that because I mean, if I have to talk more about how it's been affecting me, just like emotionally and all that, just the experience of burnout, what that feels like. It's hard. I think when you mentioned earlier about the reversal of roles, um, I feel like I am the parent now because I feel like the way that I'm talking to my mother, it's very similar to how she talked to me when I was younger.
mm, mm.
um, it's a lot of fun.
And I wanted to make a comment about your mother crying this morning. You were mentioning that you went into her room, she was crying. Have you I mean, she will no doubt be feeling her own personal loss of independence, of mobility. She'll be
Mhm.
experiencing all sorts of loss herself, personal loss. Um and and that loss will translate into beliefs that she is being a burden on someone. Um and so I'm just wondering if you've had any conversations with her about just kind of naming the losses that she's had, and what she's still able to do as a counterbalance to that sense of loss, so
Mhm.
that she doesn't feel all she's experiencing is loss. Have you asked her what kind of gain she's had because of this role reversal?
I think we've touched upon it um, sometimes, or I'll hear it come up in regards to what she misses doing. Like
Mhm,
she was someone who's very, very active. I mean, she loved her work and she worked up until a um, very advanced age. She was a nurse, and the things that she liked to do around the house, like go and do yard work or something, or cleaning or fixing something in the house, she's she's still wanting to do that, and she's actually fallen and broken her hand because she went out to do something, and it was a little bit slippery on the ground. So
mm,
um, that was kind of like a physical like pulling back of like, okay, you can't be doing this and you can't be walking out in shoes like that in the middle of winter. And so and also a hip replacement as well. So it's kind of like
Mm,
physically,
mm,
she's realizing her limitations, but
yeah.
she's also brought up things like, oh, well, I know you must be, I don't like to bother you so much with having to take me to my appointments or going out to get my medicine. I can still drive. I can drive. I mean, I know, you just have to show me, like, I mean, the cars now, it's like you just press a button, it starts the car. So it's
Mm,
like,
mm.
it's like, you just have to show me. I'm like, no, I don't, I don't think so. But when I'm saying
So
things like that,
in in those, sorry to interrupt, in those conversations, are you able to bring in your own gain from driving her so that she reframes things and she doesn't see it as like a burden that she's imposing on you? So like, can you think of an example for, like, if she says, oh, I can do it, um can you conceivably say something like, it's all right, I can do it because I've got this errand I need to do along the way, or, I've been in this house for hours and hours and I could really do with having some fresh air or some time out of the house. So you turn it into a positive benefit for you and her, so that she's not living with those feelings of, I'm a burden, I can do it myself, kind of thing. Do you get
hmm
what I'm saying?
yeah. So I see when you frame it like that, how it changes. Um,
Mm,
and also just wanting, well, I cook every day for her,
mm,
and
mm,
and I enjoy cooking. And she sees that I enjoy cooking and she enjoys the food. So when I'm done cooking and making mess everywhere, she has no problem with having to, like, wash the dishes, and she enjoys it. So she lets me cook, and then she
mhm,
washes the dishes. So I think there's
mhm.
some things I just let her do that I know that she physically can do. She doesn't have an issue with it, but things like climbing ladders or things like that, even if she said stuff like that, she wants to do stuff like that. I just have to think of other ways to just, like, not make her feel like, you're not young anymore, or you can't do it physically. I don't want to sound negative, but I want to make her
Yeah,
feel like she still has a purpose. She can still do things with her body. She's not completely immobile. So
yeah, exactly. And any way that you can involve her in doing things with you, so that if there's a need to get something from up high where she needs to climb a ladder, um, ask her to do something else while you climb up the ladder. Do you know what I mean? So like, you're still doing things, but you're managing the risk. Um, any kind of risk that she might have in terms of heights or any other dangers, including driving a car, I would say. Um, so anything that can be done, you invite her into that process, but you do the things that would be risky to her, but not risky to you. Right. So you
mhm,
kind of direct and manage, oh, mom, can you do this? Or mom, can you help me do this? I'm going to do this. Do you
mhm,
see what I mean? Yeah.
okay.
And it is hard because we talked about role reversal before. If you think about how a mother would manage, say, a 4-year-old, the mother would say, don't get too near the stove, you might hurt yourself, don't reach out your hand um, to the stove, because you know it's very hot, you could burn yourself. So the mother is kind of directing the child away from risk, right? And I
Mhm,
and I know it's hard, but in a sense, that is what you're needing to do now with your mother. You're going to be managing any behavior that you deem to be risky for her.
mhm,
Yeah.
right. Mhm, okay.
Let's go back to talking about some of the burnout that you said you're experiencing, and some of the other feelings that you may be experiencing. Do you want to say a little bit more about that?
Well, I think I've been becoming more aware of it, because I think I start to notice it when I didn't recognize myself. Like,
Mm,
like I it's like I don't normally. say things like that, or I don't normally act
Mm,
this way. Why am I why am I so agitated? Why am I
mm,
feeling so guilty? Why am I was just starting to feel like kind of like a mean person, and I'm not, and I don't think I'm mean. I'm just I don't really say things that are like bad or hurtful to my mother, but I think
or off
it's
the
just
cuff or
yeah,
curt,
exactly, or
right?
off the cuff. I mean, I don't
Mm,
insult her. I didn't do any. I mean, I'm of the generation where it's just like
mm,
she just needs
yeah.
to give me a
Yeah.
look, and I'm, you know, you know.
Yeah.
So kids are seen, not heard. So the uh, the change I think in my personality was I think what bothered me, because I
Mm,
didn't want to feel like I was um, just agitated. I would get angry uh, easily, um, and it was affecting my sleep, because also my mother's room is adjoining mine, so it- I I can't sleep peacefully because I'm thinking um, of like, is she sleeping okay? And
mm,
I mean we have other kinds of like family tragedies that had happened, so it's like that's like another like undercurrent of like stress
mm,
related for
mhm,
us. So on top of like worrying, is like my mom sleeping okay, and like because she's older, if something happens, do I have to call the ambulance? So it's like I don't get like a really restful sleep. I can't.
mm,
So
mm.
I mean, I going back to that like role reversal, it's just like you can't really sleep well when you have a baby in a crib, you know. It's like I was
Yeah.
thinking, yeah,
And so what you're experiencing is anxiety, right? Fear
mm,
of the
right,
future, fear of what could happen to her. And that's
right,
what's preventing you from having a restful, deep sleep. Is that right?
correct, right.
Yeah.
And also in terms of like the time that it's taking away from what I have to do, because I mean I'm trying to have my own kind of social life, and
Hmm.
I it's hard to have a balance with it because I'm coming
Yeah.
home and I see her all the time, but it's hard for me to say like I just want to stay out later because I'm always
Mm,
thinking about her, and also my mother tends to be someone who worries a lot too, so she's calling me while I'm out. So I'm getting these
mm,
text messages like, when are you, don't stay out too long. And during, actually during COVID, it was more elevated because she's just like, don't stay out too long. And the stores, you don't want to get sick. So it
mm,
was, oh, I wanted to add too, COVID kind of added another like level of anxiety because I was left with that, I won't say maybe burden like of keep keep yourself well, Elsa, because you
yeah.
know that the elderly are at risk, and she
Hmm.
could potentially die
Mm,
if I get myself sick and I bring it home to
mm,
her.
mm.
Because my
Yeah.
sisters were always just like, like watch where you're going, and you like you know, don't talk to your friends too much. I mean, it was putting that burden on me to have to like keep myself well so I wouldn't have to, get my mother sick. So I don't know why it was always on me. So that was something I was starting to feel really resentful about. So it was like all of this, and dealing with just the day to day having to take care of her, which was like just slowly starting to wear away at my sense of like peace, and like I said, feeling resentful because I was feeling like my life was being taken away from me,
Mm,
and 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 just like it, generally just like a feeling of loss. Like this is like on the one hand where it's like it's a blessing to be able to be with someone, be with your parent. I was also losing out on my life that I won't be able to get back as well. But where my
yeah.
sisters can have their life and I can't. So
Yeah. Yeah. So you were losing your sense of equilibrium, right?
right, right.
That sort of centeredness that we all like to kind of experience um, when we can manage and uh, control is a loaded word, but when we can manage our life. And what I'm hearing you saying is that things were coming a little bit off balance, and so you weren't kind of feeling in control of your life anymore. Yeah.
Correct. Mhm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, there's something else you were saying that I wanted to just address, because you were saying that I think you said the phrase, my personality changed. You know, you were becoming more agitated and irritable and saying things that you wouldn't normally say. And I just wanted to help you understand that um, that it wasn't so much that your personality changed and that you lost your old self or your old personality. It's that stress has been put on top of you, and it's having you, and that you're reacting to the extra pressure and extra burden and extra stress. You're simply reacting to it in a way that you normally wouldn't. And most of us do react atypically or out of character when we do have stress. It's not that your old personality is gone or changed. You could get it back potentially. You could go back to your old self if circumstances changed, right? So
Mhm.
I hope that that offers you a little bit of hope, because what we're going to be doing is trying to create a self-care plan so that there is a little bit of equilibrium, so that you can reconnect with who you used to be, particularly when you step outside of the house. That's when you can really reconnect with yourself and do some of the old activities that you love doing. You know, feel that sense of freedom and pleasure that you had, and just kind of center and ground yourself again. And um, although 2 days may not seem like a lot, and if it isn't enough for you, because it sounds like you've had 5 years of doing this without much respite or much of a break, right? So to counterbalance that, what we now need to do is to have those 2 days more frequently, just to rebalance, just so you can recharge your energy again, to counterbalance the burnout you were talking about earlier. So if you can, um, uh, I mean, I won't know what what your sisters are gonna say when you negotiate with them, but I would certainly aim for weekly. So going away on the weekends, or you know, whatever day, whatever 2 days can work within the week. So aim aim high. Ask them if you can have respite weekly for 2 days every week. If they kind of balk and say no, we can't, then try to go for every 2 weeks. Um, I would not say that once a month is enough for you. It's not fast enough and quick enough to redress the burnout that you're feeling at this point after 5 years of daily looking after someone.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm for you, I'm suggesting that you consider aiming for weekly respite, and then start going down the hierarchy depending on the response you get from your sisters.
Mhm. Okay.
And how old is your niece? Is she quite young, or?
She she's 20, she should be 27,
Okay.
27. Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you to think about and explore in kind of developing your self-care plan is to think more broadly beyond your sisters, and think more broadly across your extended family. So your cousins, your aunts, you know, your niece, and see if they might be able to share some of the caring responsibilities for your mom, and
Mhm.
creating a rota so that not one person is burnt out, so to speak. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So you're getting, and you know, if you want to bring in extended family, such as your cousins, your niece, your aunts, um, into the week as well, so that you're getting respite, say 3 or 4 days a week.
Mhm.
How how does that feel to you, that idea?
Mhm. I think it's something that I could certainly talk about. I know I'm thinking of some friends of the family uh, who who talk about coming to visit my mother. In fact, they do mention like they seem to talk about it more than my sisters do. Like, oh, Elsa spends a lot of time, and Elsa, you should get a break sometime.
Mm.
And
Oh, good.
so they see it, I think, more than my sisters are willing to admit it.
Mm.
So I know that they can come by for visits. I can just talk to them about it. So
Yeah, and what I want to suggest is that yes, they could visit, and it could be like an informal, spontaneous, impromptu visit.
hmm
Or you could do it a bit more intentionally and create a rota, so to speak,
hmm
or create a kind of structure where you're kind of asking them to come, a particular week or a particular day, and see how they might enjoy that. I mean, they might, because there are some people who like structure, who like, right, on this day I'm going to be doing this, and they love that. Some people just love that routine and structure and regularity, right? And they kind of
hmm
look forward to going to visit your mom on that day of the week. So
hmm
I wouldn't shy away from having that conversation, because you don't know who's going to jump and say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I don't mind. Put me down on a rota. And then everyone is clear on
hmm
the structure and who's going to be visiting when. And, you
hmm
can kind of train them a little bit in caring responsibilities. If they're going to come on a regular basis, like, this is what you do if this happens, that kind of thing.
hmm
So, and if you kind of have this conversation with your sisters who might be a little bit resistant to other people coming, you can assure them that you're going to be training them to kind of respond just as you would, and that this is, claim your space and say, this is part of my self-care. I need to do this, so we're going to be implementing this. um, you know I know you're the youngest of the females, right? And
Yes.
just as you are claiming your authority and your responsibility for your mother, you're going to have to kind of use that same tone of voice with your sisters as well. You kind of have to kind of go above the birth order and say, well, actually, since I've been given the greatest level of responsibility, I am also going to be taking a greater sense of responsibility for myself to make sure
hmm
I am well cared for, well kept, because I'm in this for the long haul, and I'm
hmm
exerting a lot more energy caring for
hmm
her than you
hmm
are. And so you
hmm
really do need to speak with some kind of, this is how it's going to be for me
hmm
not to burn out, for me to have that longevity in caring for her. Yeah. So you're going to have to use your voice in a slightly different way with your sisters now.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Very well said.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
mm,
And
okay.
just thinking practically, can you think of like, there are lots of kind of retreat centers, retreat houses, or even Airbnbs, but retreat houses are really set up for pilgrim wanderers. And this has been done historically throughout the United States, that there are places where you can go for respite or a retreat or a place to kind of get away, and you're cared for. Like, often people will make the meals for you, and you just do what you need to do. You sit in nature, you read a book, whatever.
Mhm,
And there's like an association. I know different countries will have different associations that will list all the retreat houses within that
mhm,
country. So that's
mhm,
a resource you could be looking at online. You just type in a
mhm,
retreat house association or something, and they'll list something in your local area that you could try. Some of them
mhm,
just take donations. Some of them will charge like a set fee, but some of them will either take donation or pay what you can. If you're going to go there regularly, you could strike a deal with them, saying, right, I'm going to be a regular here, so let's see what we can negotiate in me coming. So
mhm.
I want to offer that as a resource for you to think about and include as part of your self-care plan.
Okay. Okay. Sounds great. I'll start doing the research. Yeah.
And I want to just draw out from you, just for our listeners, what strategies you're already using for your own self-care, and we'll see if I can add to it and expand that.
Mm, okay. Well, I think for myself, the self-care I have is I'm very fortunate to have really close friends, and they're always there for me, and I know when I need to go out with them. Um, they're there to like listen to me. So it's like I have my
Mm,
people to vent to. And I just met someone like a boyfriend, so he's another kind of outlet for me as well. So
mm,
I try to be very active, just like doing exercise. So I try to go out on hikes, or I try to do some form of exercise in the morning, and
mm,
do it several times a week. So I try to keep just my body in shape, and I try to watch what I eat as well, because I feel like if I notice like if I eat certain types of foods that tend to make me like sleepy, or where I just don't feel very good. I notice that affects my mood as well.
mm,
So I try to
mhm,
eat healthy. See what else. And just going out to any kind of events, doing fun things, and that usually involves my friends. And I try to take some quiet time as well. Whether it's I might be hiking by myself, I'll do that. And I'm involved with meetup groups where it's like common interest groups, and usually I'll find something fun to do through that. And I have my sisters too. My sisters are like my friends, so
mhm.
um, I
A-
try to do things
And
with
so,
them.
do you go for a walk in nature, for example?
Mm.
Do you have
Yeah,
somewhere where there's nature around near you?
yes, we have really nice parks around where I
Good.
live, and I try to go out as much as I can, because I really love being out in nature. Nature's really healing to me. And I wish getting a dog was on the list. I really wish I could get a dog, because I people keep telling me that it's just like so much unconditional love that you get from an animal. So I really, really wish I could get a dog, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and it would also give you a good reason to go out into nature, right?
Right, right, right.
I wanted to ask whether it's possible physically for your mom to go out for a walk in nature with you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Is that possible?
I think it's possible. I've tried to ask her before. I think she's just shy about like going out, but I keep telling
Mm,
her she has her rolling
mhm,
kind of
mhm.
walker where
Zimmer frame, yeah.
yeah, where she can just walk. It wouldn't be a problem, but I don't know. It's just like I have to do a little bit of more
Yeah,
convincing. So
yeah. She might feel embarrassed about people seeing her in that state, right? So there might be a little bit of shame going on in not being
hmm.
seen outdoors. So that could be some of her resistance to going out.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so just a few, oh well, yeah, I'll say these a couple tips while they're on my mind, and then there's I'm just gonna write a note because there is something else I wanted to bring up as well. So in terms of sometimes if you can't go out to nature, consider bringing nature into your home. So having lots of plants and greenery in your
Hmm.
space, in your home,
Hmm.
might help. It certainly helps with the, the air, the oxygen in the air,
Hmm.
helps. And maybe consider having a, if you know those kind of moving water, the water fountains that kind of gurgle, and it's like it's electric, and you plug it in,
Hmm.
and it's like a fountain where the water just keeps recycling out and around. And so it's that
Right.
sense of moving water in your
Hmm.
home, which will
Hmm.
add a sense of movement and energy into the space.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it gives off sort of uh, an energy and and creates an ambiance in your house as well that helps you feel like, you're,
Hmm.
I know it's a little mini waterfall.
Right.
So yeah, that sense of being out in nature in your own
Mhm.
home.
Okay.
um yeah, to consider that. And
Mhm.
um what about things like meditation or breathing in a
Mhm.
particular way?
Mhm.
Do you do any of those at the moment as part of your self-care
Hmm.
plan?
Well, it's something that I'm just starting to get back to now because I feel like my getting away from that was just related to all that like burnout. I feel like I just kind of left myself behind. I
Mm,
didn't recognize myself. So now that I'm starting to take care of myself more, and look for these kinds of resources to help me, um, I'm starting to introduce a little bit of meditation just when I can. And it's nothing like I did anything like in the past, but even if I can just do a little bit, it makes me feel at least I'm trying something. So it's but
yeah,
just a little bit.
you're
I
being
wish I could do
proactive.
more.
And you mentioned something really important that some people might misunderstand. Um, there's no rules or rigidity required for meditation.
Hmm.
So there are, again, I'm going back to some people like structure and they like meditating first thing in the morning or at a certain time of day. And then there are some people who are more flexible and fluid and will snatch a few moments to meditate at any point in the day. And part of it is your personality and what you like, and part of it is your circumstances and the daily life that you live. These will all impact on you as well. So
Hmm.
I'm really glad that you're at least attempting to go inward, because you're giving out quite a lot. You're always outward facing and outward focus, right? So to
Hmm.
counterbalance that, do a little inward, going in and thinking about yourself, getting in touch with your needs, checking in with yourself, saying, how am I feeling right now?
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know if you know about the straw breathing technique. I mean, other people might have different names for it, but I like
Hmm.
I like to call it the straw technique, and other people do refer to it as the straw technique.
Hmm.
And this is where you will breathe in for the count of, say, 3 or 4 beats.
Hmm.
You breathe in, hold it just for 1 second, and then you breathe out for longer than your in breath, ideally something like 7 or 8 beats. Out, out, while your lips are puckered, like you're blowing through a straw or you're cooling down some soup on a spoon. So it's in for 4, hold, and then out for 8. It's like, but even slower than that. If you can do it
Okay.
slower, even better. The idea is
Hmm.
to do it very slowly. And if you do that repetitively for about 15 minutes, if you can,
Hmm.
that changes the neurological pathways in your brain, and it completely calms you down. And you would be amazed at what slow breathing like that can do to
Hmm.
regulate yourself, to calm your body. And it's a great technique for sleeping. It really
Hmm.
relaxes your body at night to be able to sleep more deeply.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
So do add that as well into your
Hmm.
day if you can.
Hmm.
And you can incorporate that into your meditation.
Hmm.
So you could do the two combined. So the breathing could be part of your meditation technique.
Hmm.
If you can't do it for 15 minutes and you can only snatch 5 minutes, you know,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
will still benefit you. And
Hmm.
if you do it on a regular basis, that's when it starts to change things in your brain. And they've done scans of the brain to show how actually breathing on a regular, consistent basis can change the wiring or the neurological pathways in your brain. So it's a very healthy activity to do.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay.
So there are some other things I wanted to talk about. I'm just noticing the time as well, that we've only got a little bit of time left. Uh, I wanted to, I mean, I'll just throw out a few other kinds of questions that I wanted to ask you in terms of practical things that you can do to calm yourself. So things like adult coloring. I don't know if you've got a little coloring book where you can just color. It's kind of
Hmm.
a mindless thing to do, but it is creating. It's using your creative energy. It's, you've got some control over the colors that you choose. And
Hmm.
you can create something beautiful that can really help, soothe your heart and make you proud. And So,
Mhm.
oh, this is beautiful. You could put it up somewhere in your
Mhm.
room or anywhere in the house, really. You could give it to your mother.
Mhm.
And, and seeing her face, her reaction
Mhm.
to it,
Mhm.
can really warm your heart.
Mhm.
And also journaling is
Mhm.
really effective as well. So you're commenting about how you're sometimes resentful or irritable, angry, all of which are natural emotions, and no one would fault you for having those feelings given the circumstances that you're in.
Mhm.
However, people can often process and release some of those feelings if they write it down. So if there's a particularly challenging um, activity that might create some tension or friction with you and your mom, maybe grab a few minutes before you do that activity to journal and to write some things down. If you can't, then journal afterwards to kind of release it, and then go back to your mom and do what's called attachment repair. So you're having a conversation with her afterwards to say, I'm sorry if I came across as irritable. I didn't mean that. But having written that stuff and processing that on your own with a journal can then help you find the words to be able to go back to your mom and say what you were feeling, and that you're feeling better now, and let's do something positive or fun or upbeat or something. Let's watch something together. Yeah. And so
Mhm.
you kind of repair those little micro ruptures that can happen through
Mhm.
irritation or anger or resentment or frustration.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
One of the
Mhm.
things I wanted to add, this isn't typically thought of as self-care, but I wanted to just throw this idea out at you, to kind of expand your thinking and other people's thinking who might be listening, that as your mother is getting on in years, having a conversation about advanced care planning, about how your mother might want to be cared for if she ever had to go to the hospital, or go outside the home and have other people care for her. Just kind
Mhm.
of creating a plan of what she might like will relieve a kind of burden from you, because
Mhm.
you will have that peace of mind that you've had that conversation about how she's going to be cared for when some of that responsibility is taken off your shoulders.
Mhm.
You might even kind of do that just before you create the rota of your extended family coming in to care for her. If it's
Mhm.
written down, everyone is on the kind of same page and everyone knows what the expectation is and how to care for her. And that's where you can have real peace of mind to be able to go out and go, right, this is how my mom wants to be looked after and cared for by whoever
Mhm.
looks
Mhm.
after her, right? That gives you just that tiny little bit of freedom and unburdening
Mhm. Mhm.
in that
Yeah.
process. I know it's not an easy conversation for people to have, but it really is necessary. And people can have this conversation at any point in their lives. It's not
Mhm.
just for people to have when they're aging.
Mhm. Yes. That's right.
So there's a
Mhm.
resource. I mean, there's lots of different resources out there, and each state will have their own kind of advanced care planning. 5wishes.com is a website you can go to. It's a very simple document you could download and just use, just to begin with. Really, you could
Mhm.
move on to having other advanced care plans later on. One can
Mhm.
replace another, but yeah, that's an easy one to kind of start with.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm. Yes, I think,
And go on.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I
No, you
think
go ahead.
you said a key phrase that's stuck in my mind. I think just peace of mind. Just you saying that made me feel like, that it's something that's important. Peace of mind.
It
It might
is.
be
It's an
difficult to talk
essential
about.
part of self-care, isn't it?
Right.
It's an
Right.
essential
Right.
part.
Mhm.
And not everyone will create to actively create the conditions for them to at least try to have some peace of mind. Like, we won't have peace of mind all the time, you know,
Mhm.
and there's nothing wrong with having anxiety. Anxiety will come and go. It's when it's
Mhm.
chronic anxiety and that it never leaves. That's when it's a problem. But to live
Mhm.
with anxiety just generally when it comes and goes is natural and normal, right?
Mhm.
We're always
Right.
looking out for potential threats. So it's
Mhm.
fine to have anxiety, just not to live in that space all the time, and that
Mhm.
then rules your life because you're always living in fear,
Mhm.
unfounded fear sometimes, right?
Mhm.
And so if
Right.
you can actively create the conditions, even some of the time, that will give you peace of mind as a relief from your anxiety, that's a very good part of your self-care plan.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're very welcome. We are almost out of time. Is there anything else that you wanted to say? Anything else that you wanted to bring that you may have mentioned at the beginning that wasn't kind of addressed?
Mm, I don't know. Well, maybe just getting my mother involved with like who who her connections are, because my mother still has her friends. I mean, they're the same age as her. Some of them are passing away, but just I think that's important that, I mean, I might have my friends, but my mother still has some of her friends. So just trying to
Mm-hmm.
keep her connections and making sure she has people that she can talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and she might not necessarily talk to me about the same things she talks about to her friends.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think that's
that's right.
that's part of keeping her mentally and emotionally uh,
Stimulated.
happy, stimulated. Right.
Yeah, and happy. That's right. Yes. So how is that managed at the
Hmm.
moment? How are you facilitating that?
Well, I'm just happy that she still has some of her, whether they're the cousins. She doesn't. None of her siblings are alive. She's the last living
Mm,
child out of 11 children. So um, she just has her maybe a few close friends that she still calls like her favorites. So um, I think we just try to ask her, how's it going? How are they doing? Or if she wants to maybe visit them, sometimes we offer that. Or uh, we just try to just talk to her about like the connections that she still has. So just to know that she's still happy and that she still has them. So.
so something else that also might help, again, to get that dopamine level going, that the sort of happy hormone that kicks in
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
we anticipate or know something happy or pleasurable is about to happen, is to
Hmm.
maybe create just a very loose kind of rota of when
Hmm.
she connects with her friends.
Mm.
So either create a Zoom meeting for her where she can connect with her friends regularly.
Mhm.
If her friends are having difficulty with mobility or coming to the house often, there'll be all sorts of reasons why they couldn't visit regularly. And
Mhm.
so, a Zoom meeting is a nice kind of replacement, and takes the burden off of them in terms of, having to pay for travel, or traveling itself can be stressful sometimes.
Mm. Right.
So, if they maybe visit in person, say once a month, and they're zooming in to chat with her 3 times a week,
Mhm.
um, that creates a bit of regularity without putting pressure on them.
Mhm.
Do you see what
Right.
I mean? And,
Mhm.
again, sort of, you know, she and her friends can kind of negotiate like what day they're going to speak and how often and all that kind of stuff, but just kind of manage that in a more intentional way and in a visual way. So you want to kind of
Mhm.
put it on some kind of sheet of paper or a chart or something like that, and then she
Mhm.
can see she's got something to look forward to, and it will
Mhm.
put her in a happy mood, which
Mhm.
will then impact on you in a good way as well, right?
Right. Right. Right.
If she's
Mhm.
in a happy mood, and that's a bit of time, that's a bit of respite that you can get throughout the
Mhm.
day. It's
Mhm.
not your formal kind of respite where you're going to recharge, but it is just a little bit of respite. Little bits throughout the day will help keep you going with
Mhm.
other demanding tasks that you have to do for the rest of the day.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mhm.
try and get
Mhm.
her to connect with her friends as much as possible,
Mhm. Okay.
as much as her friends want and as much as she wants,
Mhm.
as a way of giving you some time to yourself to do, what you used to do in your own life that really gave you pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Can you name a few? Just a few now, just to wrap up. What did you really enjoy doing in the past that you'd love to be able to do
Um,
again?
well, I was really big into salsa dancing. I was a big salsa
Oh,
dancer.
yes, you know what? That was going to be one of my other tips to give you. I used to do salsa dancing
Oh,
myself.
really? No.
I did. And one of the things that I loved was the actual music. And
Mm-hmm.
so what because the music is so joyous, what I was gonna suggest as a tip was to listen to salsa music. You can
Mm-hmm.
move your body just a little bit in the house, just to, feel that rhythm of dancing again. But even just listening to the music can
Mm-hmm.
absolutely skyrocket your emotional state and shift it right into a different emotional state. So that's something you could be doing while your mom is talking to her friends,
Okay.
just grab a few
Okay.
minutes of salsa music. That will just really help. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah. A-
Yeah.
anything else? Can you name one more thing that you used
Mm,
to really like doing before?
well, I used to like probably just traveling, but I don't know. I think I going on like travel like with my friends. Like
Hmm.
but it was just like involving me, taking a few days or something, or like a weekend. So I'd really like to be able to like go somewhere and I don't have to like think about anything.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
So that's something that we talked about, right? And that's something that you
mhm,
might be able to do if you get those 2 days. You could travel somewhere else.
mhm,
But if for those days where you can't travel and you're really feeling the itch to travel, there are now virtual tours you can take online, right? You could like
right,
see the inside of places or inside of countries. So you could try that as just like a second best kind of option
mhm,
to see other
mhm,
parts of the world virtually. I
mhm,
know it won't be the same, but
right,
yeah, it's second best
mhm,
if you're really wanting to see other cultures and other sites.
mhm,
Um, yeah, yeah.
right.
And any last thing that doesn't require going out of the house, anything you used to like doing
Mm.
inside your home that you used to do that you can do still?
Daytime. Uh, I think just having quiet time, having no television. I think the
Okay.
television is on a lot.
Unplugging.
So
Oh,
unplugging.
okay. Right.
I think
Now
that.
is the television on a lot because your mother enjoys company, and a lot of elderly people have the radio on or the TV on because they want company. They want that sound coming in. They want that connection to human life, right? And so if you
Right.
get her a rota of friends that she's constantly calling and talking
Right.
to, then she'll be more inclined to turn the TV off, and then you can have the silence that you want, right?
Okay. Yes. Yes. Very true. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, I want to thank you so much, Elsa, for coming today and for talking to me. And I hope you're going away with a self-care plan that will leave you feeling energized and more connected to your mom in the way that you want to be connected to her.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. This helped me
Uh,
very much. Thank
good,
you.
good, good.